Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with my Shadow King Legendary Trials preparation here in regards to the event that's coming up in just a few days. But yeah, I wanted to get this closer to the date, obviously, so that way it's going to be relevant, but as well for me to actually have time to review and prepare and have a game plan. So it's really, really important, guys, that you know what exactly you're going to be going for, because at the end of the day, if you don't have a plan, then your plan may be to fail. So that's why it's highly important that you understand the three different pathways that are going to be available for most of us, right? Number one, if you're a beginner player and you're just hoping to get the unlock here of Shadow King ultimately, so it doesn't really matter then at the end of the day which characters and teams you're going to be using, because if you activate difficulty 15 with most packs, you can actually use your best tunes in your roster, complete the first node, and you're going to be getting the unlock. The best example is when we had the Old Man Logan trials at the very beginning. You can actually bring in a gear tier 15 Spire Society, complete the first node, boom, your Old Man Logan is immediately unlocked, and you basically got the prize of the event, right? And that's actually available for a lot of folks newer to the game, and even those already in the mid game. Next up, we have the second pathway, which is moderate unlock here at difficulty 10, which is likely going to translate to 4 stars max of Shadow King. This is only going to be available if you have Annihilators and Illuminati characters unlocked, but you don't have them beyond 5 stars. That means the highest you'll be able to go is difficulty 10, and that's why it caps you at the 4-star Shadow King, which, by the way, this is typically around gear tier 16, I want to say, gear tier 15, gear tier 16 teams, so not too bad of an investment for those mid-level folks. And then lastly, we have the beginning of the true end game compete level, because a lot of free-to-play folks have had more than enough time to accumulate, myself included. And if you do have 6 stars above for Annihilator and Illuminati, this is going to allow you to do difficulty 15 with most packs, and it's going to guarantee you a 5-star Shadow King or higher, depending on how deep you go, depending on how far you want to push for the leaderboards. And this is actually where I'm going to be pushing as well, just because I do actually have my Annihilator and Illuminati characters at 6 stars and beyond. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is also from the Marvel Strike Force blog post breaking down the Shadow King event, but in case you missed it, this is a great summary here, and basically alluding to everything I already pointed out, but does give us the breakdown, right? And remember, like I said, difficulty 10 is where there's no star requirement for your Illuminati or Annihilator characters. Having said that, that also means you still need to build up Global Villain, Brawler, non-mythic, Mercenary, or Undying, depending on which one's better for your roster. And then we also have, obviously, the Annihilator character synergies, and then you bring that back for Mission 10. Now, where it's going to be important is if you do have those characters 5 stars and beyond, that means you'll have access to difficulty 11 all the way to difficulty 15, which requires 6 stars at the bare minimum. Now, the cool thing about all this is that for the first time ever, we have a character that can bypass this, and that's Captain Britain. Highly recommend, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys have him unlocked, start hunting for his red stars in the Elite Store, because he is going to be a difference maker because of the fact that the Cosmic Crucible bonuses are also going to be activated. So teams that thrive in Crucible and Arena, they're going to get an edge on this. So that includes both Illuminati and Annihilator teams. Very important to understand that little nuance there, especially since a lot of these teams, especially like Cabal, being utilized for Global Villain, we have Annihilator for Arena. There's going to be some synergies here and there that you can take advantage of. Obviously, Illuminati for Crucible. So, this is my roster that I have right now. I just want to walk you guys through what my current team levels are and what I'm planning. But there's going to be some obvious ones that there's no pointing out that needs. But obviously, with Annihilators and Illuminati for nodes 2, 6, and 10, you want to build up these 10 characters, the 10 best that you can, right? Now, I want to point out my very top screenshot here, which is the Annihilators. Silver Surfer, he's probably not going to get as much love as obviously the core 3, right? Thanos Endgame, Gladiator, Gore. Build these characters up as much as you can, because they're going to be essential for especially Node 6, and then you bring them back together for Nodes 10. I think we're up against an Odin, so very important. I think Ultimus is going to get a lot of love just because he's actually a pretty good option too as well in Dark Dimension 7 if you haven't solidified what your mythic characters are going to be. Now, as for the Illuminati, the best 5 is going to be, without a doubt, the team that does not have Iron Man. So he's all the way going to be shoved down. I probably will have to bring up my Black Bolt a little bit. Captain Britain, Hank Pym, Black Panther Shuri. These three are going to get the most love on this team. And then we will probably get a little bit of, support, obviously, from Mr. Fantastic and Black Bolt. But you want to be very mindful because, remember, if this is going to work out perfectly to our plan, you really only need, 3 or 4 of these good characters, because in the final node, you can combine both teams into one, right? So, for example, you can bring in the core 3 of Annihilators plus maybe Captain Britain or Hank Pym or Black Panther Shuri for that last final node, or even if you want to use them as a burner team, you could potentially do that as well. But just remember, you don't need all these characters built up, but I would highlight at least 3 members of each team, so that way they are going to be kind of carrying the load. And then 2 other members that may not receive as much love. As you can see, Ultimus and Silver Surfer being part of the Annihilators. We have nodes 3 and 7 next, which is the global villain. And oh my goodness, there's a buffet of options here. Without a doubt, you got to bring in Apocalypse if you have them, right? You have to bring in Cabal if you have them, because the amount of value you're going to be getting in the game, what they bring in terms of all game modes, but the fact also Cabal gets the Crucible bonuses. So that means if you bring in 2 other villains with this team, they're going to be absolutely devastating, right? And this is the global villain trait, so everybody's going to be an option for Cabal. So without a doubt, I think some obvious ones is going to be the Orcus team for sure. Lady Deathstrike, Scientist Supreme, Sentinel, Nimrod, Omega, who's not as built on my roster, but even characters like Agatha Harkness, they're all going to be available to be utilized. So I don't think these nodes will be tricky. I think it's going to be important to focus on the attack priority. It's going to be important to focus on making sure that they have energy getting generated. But otherwise, these nodes are going to be very, very good, just because a lot of these options are already utilized in Dark Dimension 7. And as you can see on my roster, many of these characters and tunes are either needed for the Orcus raids or Dark Dimension 7 or Dark Dimension 8 and so forth. So this is going to be very smooth. I'm just glad they've been able to give us this strong option, because this is one of the strongest possible traits that we can get access to, which is pretty massive. Nodes 4 and 8. This one's super interesting. The Brawler non-mythic is kind of what's available here, right? And it's cool. Lady Deathstrike is technically can be double dipped here. She is a global villain, but she's also a brawler that's not mythic, so that's great. I do see a really good combination here of Nightcrawler, Vow, and Thanos Endgame. Reason being is because what do they all have in common? Well, they generate exposure. Now, if that's the case, it means Thanos Endgame can actually generate additional energy for characters like Vow. Vow also generates energy when, she strikes an exposed target. So right away, I do see a core 3 here. Nightcrawler, Vow, and Thanos Endgame. If you can have access to those 3 characters, they're going to be massive. And then we also have some utility stuff. Vulture for turn meter, as well as just being able to be a great utility support character. Black Cat is great control. Deathpool being brought up if you are planning to bring up the Mercenaries team. They're going to be massive for Merchant Money. An amazing war team. And then we also have newer characters like Blade, Moon Knight being part of this because of the Night Stalkers team, right? So they don't have raid bonuses, but if you already have them built up, obviously for Orcus raids, they can give you some value there. And then Red Hulk is probably one of the better characters as well, but he doesn't have the synergy, but he's definitely dated here from statistically compared to some of these characters, but he has a great kit, and I really do love his ultimate when it does trigger. But remember, we don't get war bonuses, so this is going to be a watered down version of Red Hulk, so just caution that if you guys are planning to go that route. And last but not least, guys, I don't even think this is a choice. They give us the option for Mercenaries slash Undying, but honestly, the only way to go about this is going to be Mercs for Money. I think Old Man Logan is essential to the success of this team, obviously, but the amount of revives this team will get, the synergy that they have, and I think if we're taking away the war bonuses from both Undying and Mercs for Money, this team is hands down going to be the winner. And also the team that likely folks will have access to, right? Because of the star levels. Just look at this team. We've had a chance to farm them up and bring up almost all of them to diamond opportunities. So they're going to statistically just have the edge over Undying. And I think this is going to be probably the main bottleneck for folks, because if you don't have Old Man Logan unlocked, it is going to be a slugfest. It's essentially just trying to get your Undying and other mercenary characters as high as possible. But if you do have Old Man Logan, I think the sky's the limit. So thankfully, a lot of us took advantage because Old Man Logan trials have been back for 3 times. But for you folks, like I said earlier, some of these bottlenecks I already may have pointed out, like Old Man Logan, if you haven't had access to. So then that means that you may have to consider what pathways you want to take, right? I still think even without Old Man Logan, should still be able to get the moderate unlock here, 4 stars, especially if you have the Annihilator Illuminati. But I think if we go deeper and deeper into the competitive route against all the dolphins and whales, definitely need as high the rosters as you can. So my game plan right now is to build all these characters to at least level 90 to level 95, because I'm going to be competing in the highest level. So I'll be back with more content, obviously, guys, but hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this gives you insight on what I'm doing. Remember, free to play completely. I'm just trying to build up as much as I can because we've had so much time to prepare. I'm pretty pumped to see how far we can go in the Shadow King Trials. So do let me know what your game plan is. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.